Welcome in episode number 3, Jumpin Offsides, presented by Louisiana Downs, Space Cowboy Equipment, Dream Hunt Foundation. Well, we've got a big slate today, Brock. This is co-host Brock Berlin, Evangel Eagle, Florida Gator, Miami Hurricane, Dallas Cowboy, you name it, this guy's done it in football. One of our good friends. Also, Jeff Warren, Dream Hunt Foundation, co-host as we get started on our Deep South. The Dirty South would be the episode today, as we have Miami Mike James in the house right here. We have him with the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, Aeneas Williams Award, presented by the Chickasaw Nation. We have Mike. He came down from Oklahoma City last night and has agreed to be on the show. One of my dearest friends, by the way, and longtime friend, Mike. This guy would do anything in the world for anybody. And I think you guys are just starting to realize that as you just met Mike and everything, and just his character and all that. And we're going to speak on all that a little bit later, but we're going to get into the show today and everything. A lot to dive into with college football and the week past with the NFL and all that. We'll get into that later as we make our picks, our Road Tag Portable Toilets crappy pick of the week. I'm sure Jeff will have that one. But we'll have that going on. Brock, what's your week been like as you've observed college and pro football?
Well, it's been a little bit of a crazy week. Seeing some of these games that have gone on. Obviously, we were just talking about a second ago. Let's go ahead and bring it up. My boys, at Miami have they had a tough one. It was I actually thought the game was over.
Mm-hmm. As we all did.
We were actually playing a little baseball this weekend with my son, his team, and I watched as I felt like the game was over, we turned it off and we started our game. Next thing I know, the score has changed. Obviously that was a tough loss. Tough pill to swallow for us, Miami Hurricane. I got a partner here with me today to help me with all this. But that was tough to watch. But there were a lot of good games. A lot of big things happening in college football and the NFL right now.
Yeah,
we're seeing some things happening that very, very interesting.
A little bit interesting for sure. And Mike, growing up in Hollywood, Florida, in the Fort Lauderdale area and everything, a lifelong Canes fan. And I know that this was big meeting Brock and everything, but is that one of the more devastating losses that you've seen within the program? And I mean, you were there when they passed out tickets for getting a Whopper at Burger King.
I remember those days.
He's a true Cane fan.
He is a true Cane fan. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens. You're a fan. Hey, before I do that though, I want to thank you guys for having me today.
Absolutely.
Chance, thank you for your kind words. I was excited about the opportunity to come down and hang out with you guys for a little bit of time and just share what's going on with the Thorpe and some other things, but most of all, just to spend time with you guys, regardless of what we talk about, even if we do talk about what happened last Saturday. But Chance, to rip that Band-Aid off, it wasn't that it was devastating, it was heartbreaking, because as Brock said, it's over. The game's over, you won. Here, probably the only other game that's still, golly, I don't even want to talk about it, is the daggone Ohio State National Championship game that we won.
The penalty.
That we won.
Yeah.
And then a flag comes out, and you go, wait a minute. See, and to your point, we're winning, you turn the TV off, and you go play baseball. So you're automatically thinking, we won.
Oh, yeah.
You're celebrating.
It's kind of like the Ohio State. We got we got ear pads and helmets flying everywhere.
Yes.
Everybody, you can't even find your own helmet, and then a flag gets thrown.
Yeah, and you're like, I was sitting in my parents' house watching that game, and my nephew, who is as big as Cane fan as I am,
right?
He said at the time, I think he was probably, I don't know, maybe 9 years old or 7 years old. He goes, Uncle Mike, do the happy dance with me. So we're running around the living room. I'm just doing whatever he's doing. I'm, to make him happy. And all of a sudden the flag comes out, and he is such a fan. His emotions were so high that he started sobbing because he didn't know how to handle it.
Golly.
I can't even imagine what you guys were going through.
It was horrible. It was one of the. It really was. It was one of those games. It was kind of like one of those things in slow motion too. The celebration starts, and then all of a sudden you just see this yellow flag, and it's like.
And it was late too, mind you. The flag
play
came
was
in
over.
late, right?
Everybody was on the field.
Yeah.
It might have been 18 seconds.
Yeah, I know it was. Yeah,
I mean, let's be honest.
which is
I'm
an eternity.
serious.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly is.
It was one of those things that I still can't even believe. I can still remember where I was standing on the field as the celebration's happening, and then all of a sudden it's like, how does this even happen?
Right.
I mean,
Craig Krenzel, quarterback for Ohio State.
Was that the Maurice Clarett era?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had a big game.
He was there.
I was in a 16 by 70 single wide trailer watching it in Athens, Louisiana, tucked away in the Piney Hills, and was sick, just sick, watching that.
Well, but yes,
that was probably more devastating than, because here's the thing, what happened at that national championship game. The players coach. No one had any control over that.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. Right.
What happened Saturday? We blew a tire because I don't know. It was just a decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, it cost the Canes the game. The thing that bums me out the most is the players rallied. I mean, the players played their hearts out to make it a game, to come back and make it a game, and then that one decision.
I know.
It all went to pot. So it's really, and again, the Ohio State thing to me was devastating. This one was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
There was. I don't understand it, really, truly. I mean, I've said from the beginning, Mario Cristobal is.
He's your guy.
That's my guy. I love him to death. And I think he's the guy for our program.
Oh, I agree.
I think that he's the guy that's going to make this thing turn around. And I think, honestly, believe he's the type of guy that 20 years from now we could still be talking about Mario being.
I love it.
And leading this, the Miami Nation. I think he is, and that's very unlike Mario because he is such a detail-oriented coach that he doesn't miss anything. That's just how he is. He's one of the hardest working individuals I've ever been around, and that was just I'd love to kind of sit down and understand what the thought process was there because. That's not like him. That's not like him. And
you think the OC just called that and maybe they were not on the same page, or you think they talked? I mean, I know obviously everything stops with a head coach, right? But it's possible he's sitting there thinking, "Oh, we're about to take a knee," and then we're running the ball. He's like, "What are we doing?"
No, I mean it was definitely talked about because if Mario wants to take a knee, they're taking a knee.
Right.
And it comes through the headset.
Yeah,
I mean, that's your job as a head coach. You get
you're
fourth
not,
downs and victory formations.
He's not calling the plays there, but he's involved on both sides of the ball. What's being done, and so.
Well, let me ask you, Brock, and I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize. Let me ask you, former quarterback, you're in the huddle. You're managing the game,
right?
And you got 25 seconds left.
You're a game manager. That's why you're not QB1.
That's right. First of all, I'm QB2.
Yeah.
He's QB1.
Yep.
He made that real clear. And the reason being is that this is his show.
Oh, I got you.
No,
No,
not your fault. Not your fault.
So I'm QB2, just so you know.
All right. Well,
yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
You know what?
Yeah.
He's a Gator too.
That's right. That's right.
QB1 to me, baby.
That's how it all started for him, though, as a Gator.
So let me ask you though. You're in the huddle. It's first down. All the stars are aligned. The moons are aligned, and you get that call in your headset. Do you question that? Well, why don't you call a timeout, Coach? Are you sure? Did I hear you?
Yeah. I mean, there's been times where you get a call and you're wondering, what are we doing? It is. It's true. I mean, it's just like, did I just hear what I just heard? But at the same time, you gotta,
Gotta go.
You gotta trust what they're doing and what they're thinking. And have there been times where, I've changed something and didn't feel like it? Yeah, and there were times I was right and times I was wrong too. And you know, that's a tomorrow conversation we have. But you know, it's just one of these. I'm like everybody else. I'm flabbergasted at what happened.
Well, you know what concerns me a little bit, taking it a step further, is you put the running back in a situation to where now he can feel like this whole loss is now his fault.
Absolutely.
And that's not cool.
Yeah.
A lot like being a kicker when it doesn't work out and you get death threats.
Yeah.
And
Well, and the thing about it is, as a quarterback, and you're talking with your team, you get into a 4-minute offense situation. Right at this time, we're down to seconds. You know, you're constantly, if we're running the football, we're constantly saying two things: stay in bounds, hold on to the football, and if you got to get your butt down, get down.
Sure.
Let's be safe. Let's live to fight another down. And those are constant reminders. You know, that's what you work on. You start since, you know, when you start in July, you know, and that is something you do every day, and you work these drills, and you understand when it, you know, holding on to that football is the main concern, right? So that was tough. I mean, that was tough to see, and it's tough for to put a young man through something like that because, you know, yes, he probably does feel like it's, you know, that's his fault. Just like, you know, I've been in many situations where I've thrown a pick at the end of the game, and you got to live with that for till next Saturday. You know, that's the tough thing I always tell people about football. It's not like baseball where tomorrow you get to play again. You know, and you're going to play 150 games or whatever. Now you're going to play 11 games or whatever that is, and you know, whether good or bad, you live with that for throughout the week.
Sure.
And it's tough, especially when you know you're the guy that, you know, that you made a play that cost your team. And so, you know, I feel for that young man. But it's part of football. It's part of, you know, builds character. And I think that we'll overcome this. We're better because of it. It's hard to swallow right now.
No doubt.
There's also
Jeff, we got it out on the table there.
yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, I mean,
All Jeff wanted to do was talk about the Canes.
he wanted some tears and it didn't
couldn't
happen,
wait.
so let's move on, you know?
I was hoping to get like a really good this explanation, I guess, but there's not one.
Well, Mike,
It's a lot of bewilderment.
Mike, as a Canes fan, and now you came in from Oklahoma City, you live in Oklahoma. So do we have ties now to OU, OSU? Like, what's our deal now as being in Oklahoma? Tell us how you got to Oklahoma, and then how we're involved in all the things you're involved in.
Well, thanks. Absolutely. Well, you know, being from Hollywood, I got out of school and needed a job, and a major car rental company was just opening up down there. And a friend of mine worked for him and said, hey, they're hiring, come check it out. So I needed a job, I needed a paycheck, and so I thought I'll do this for a little bit of time. And 32 years later, I walked away.
Wow.
But in 1989, they asked me to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and kind of open up that eastern Oklahoma footprint for them. And then in 1998, moved me to Oklahoma City. And so that's what took me to Oklahoma. Now, you know, to talk about Miami and OU and OSU, you know, I can remember sitting with my dad watching the Canes games in those, you know, those 80s Canes games when Miami was, you know, beating OU for national championships. And those games were testy, man. And so when I moved to Oklahoma, you know, that was 20 years or 10, 15 years ago or whatever that was. And at that time, and people say, where are you from? And I say, you know, when you're from Hollywood, you say Fort Lauderdale or you say Miami.
Right.
You know?
Every time you say Hollywood, they think California.
Yeah,
Right?
so
that's
Hey,
right.
California guy?
Yeah. No, the real Hollywood.
That's right.
That's what they say when I say I'm from Upper L.A., you know, just North Louisiana.
There you go.
You know?
Well, and so I was proud to say I'm a Canes fan. And man, I took beatings. And to this day, now again, when you grow up in South Florida, I guess it'd be like growing up in Kansas City or Dallas. You're the fan, regardless. I don't feel comfortable putting a license plate on the front of my truck. The only thing that I have that shows that I'm a Miami guy is back in it was probably '84, right after Miami's first national championship, my mom and dad bought me an Ibis Sebastian keychain. It's so old, he's got a pipe.
Oh, wow.
And that hangs from my rearview mirror
Really?
to this day. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
But that's as much as I'll do. Now, when it comes to OU and Oklahoma State, I'll be honest. My money went to Oklahoma State for 4 years because my daughter went to school there. My wife graduated from there. My mother-in-law graduated from there. But I'm a fan. But I'm a fan of both schools because when both schools win, it's great for the state.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And plus, guys, you guys have been around sports your whole lives. There are great people involved at both of these programs,
Absolutely.
as there is with your programs.
Absolutely.
And you know what? It bums me out, but I get it. It'd be like us giving you a hard time about the Gators.
Right.
We can do that.
And
we can do that.
that's happened a lot in the last 13 years.
Yeah, but
Speaking of, you're not trying to interrupt
No.
you, but you said what you have. You got your ibis. I've got an ibis holding a gator's neck in one hand and holding a Seminole in the other neck, and
And you never lost to those rivals either.
no, I have
so.
not. I have not.
Yeah.
5-0, baby.
I love it.
5-0, and that sits in my office. So go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
like it. No.
I just want to. We got to get them more time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Mr.
again,
Student section here.
we're going to break into the CANES cane.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But,
and you will be escorted out.
Yeah.
Just
Well, it's just I love when both of these schools win. Now, when it comes to Bedlam,
right.
and again, even though my money went there, I always say whoever has the better chance to move the furthest,
Yeah.
in a way that's kind of who I'm pulling for.
Sure.
Because again, if one of our teams, whether it's Tulsa, OU, or Oklahoma State, if they have the opportunity to go to the championships or the playoffs,
big
deal.
deal.
That's huge for the state. That's
Yeah.
great exposure.
Yeah.
How about the town? I mean, just when the team's playing well, I mean, the city. I mean, it makes
a
everything
buzz.
great.
It's
Yeah.
electric.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's college football. You know?
Absolutely.
And that's the great thing about college football. Whether you're a fan of Florida or Miami or LSU or whatever it is, just college football. If you're a college football fan, and it's just fun to be around teams when they're winning. Be around a city. It's electric.
Yeah, and to your point, Brock, I have the opportunity through the Thorpe to go to a lot of college football games, and it's amazing when you go to a game, and let's just say hypothetically that school's having an off year, and so they're not as good as maybe they should be.
Right.
But brother, when you walk through the tailgates and you're walking to the stadium, and you would think that their team's undefeated because the energy is so electric and people just love their team. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Anyway,
A lot of
I get
pride
carried
in
away.
No,
It's
I love
fun.
it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, you moved to Oklahoma City for that footprint, as you say. How did you get involved in the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, and then what has catapulted you in? You're the president of the award now, correct?
Yeah, that and $2 will get you a refill on that coffee.
Well,
right there.
hey, Pete's from Brew, down at a shameless plug, no free ads, Kevin Preston and Louisiana Downs, but Pete's
Well,
Coffee right here.
Let me tell. I got to go back to when I was 21 years old to kind of tell you how I ended up getting involved in nonprofit work or whatever. So I was telling you that I needed a job, and so I went to work for this company, and I moved back home with my folks, and my dad comes up to me, and my dad was just tough as a boot, old Korean War vet, but just had a heart of gold. And he comes up to me, and he always called me Bud. He goes, Bud, now listen, doesn't matter what kind of job you have, you got to remember that the people in your community pay your bills. I go, what do you mean, Pop? I don't get it. He goes, well, whether you work at a restaurant, you wash cars, you rent cars, wherever you work, the majority of the people that are going to do business with you are your neighbors. So how are you going to give back? And I'm 21, I don't get it yet, right?
Yeah.
He goes, let me explain it. There's two ways you give back to your community. You either write a big check, which you can't do, or you volunteer your time, which you can do.
Right.
So find something you want to do and
I
begin
love
doing
that.
that.
What?
That's a good word.
And so that's what I started doing. And so fast forward then, in 1999, I moved to Oklahoma City, and I met a gentleman who happened to be chairman of the Jim Thorpe Association at that time. And it just happened to be right around the time of the Thorpe Award banquet. and it was when, oh goodness.
99.
It was, the first banquet that I went to, I started volunteering, and it was when Roy Williams from OU
I was
won the
about to
award.
say that's who it would have been.
And he's still heavily involved in what
Very,
we do.
yeah.
He's just a great guy. But anyway, so I go to the banquet, and the crazy thing is I knew who Jim Thorpe was because, and this is another crazy story, although I'm from South Florida, my mom and dad are from Canton, Ohio. My dad played high school football on the same field that Jim Thorpe played professional football on when he was with the Canton Bulldogs.
Holy
Wow.
cow.
So growing up, my dad, Jeff, would say, two best football players in all of football history, Jim Thorpe and Jim Brown. No question. That was
And Walter Payton.
the two best football players of all time. So growing up, and I played sports growing up, my dad would use Jim Thorpe analogies with me. Oh, he overcame this, and he had to deal with this. And the whole time I'm going, I know who Jim Thorpe is because of my dad.
Right.
And then when we would go back to Ohio to see my grandparents, we'd go to the Hall of Fame, you see Jim Thorpe and stuff. So fast forward, now I'm living in Oklahoma City, and I have the opportunity to be involved in the Jim Thorpe Association. And that's where I started volunteering my time. I had the opportunity to serve on the board, and we operate a lot of people don't know this, we operate the largest drug, alcohol, tobacco, and vape-free initiative for kids in the state of Oklahoma.
Wow.
That's awesome.
We work with over 2,000 schools in Oklahoma, and the state gives us no money. I'm telling you right now, as we sit here, I could Google on my phone Oklahoma's largest drug-free initiative, and you know what pops up? The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, not one state agency. Is that not crazy? But anyway,
We have to change that, Mike.
yeah, we've been working on that for years. But here's I said all that just to say this. That advice my dad gave me when I was 21 years old truly put me in a position to be where I'm at today. So I really give my dad the credit, and the Thorpe family for trusting me to keep their grandfather's legacy alive. It was their,
Right,
as you know,
right.
you met Jim's
Yeah.
sons. Keep the family legacy alive. Keep Jim Thorpe's name alive. And it's been humbling. It's been rewarding. And you know what's allowed me to meet a bunch of great people, truly.
Yeah.
Well, I remember I had a business that I had taken to Oklahoma City in the Oklahoma area, and the company you worked for, I came in wanting to do some business with them, and I look around Mike's office, and we hit it off from Jump Street, and look around his office, there are Home Depot award pictures everywhere, and for college football, and I was like, what is all this? He said, well, I'm part of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award and stuff, and I was like, well, man, tell me more. So he tells me, and then so I would make it a point then I'm going to see Miami Mike. And so we would talk ball every time, and then we just built a friendship. Like I said, it was an instant kinship. And then as soon as we kept on, he was like, hey, what are your thoughts on being part of this? And I mean, ask no more. Like I'm in, Mike.
Yeah.
Whatever I can do to serve and help connect, I want to do.
Yeah.
And so that's just the kind of light that he brings to the award, but just him in general, and not to gush over you while you're here, Mike, but I would say that or do that whether he were here or not. But it is such a tremendous award, and these players don't think, and you've been in a locker room, and Jeff, you've been around, to hear these defensive guys talk about that award is it's basically, hate to say it like this because it's such a big award, but it's the Heisman for defense.
It is.
Because not many defenders, Charles Woodson is the exception to the rule, but not many win the Heisman. So this is the equivalent for the defensive guys.
And speaking of that, and thank you for saying that, Chance. It's very kind. But speaking of the Heisman, they say that the Heisman, and not taking anything away from any Heisman winner, be that as it may, when you're talking about the Heisman, it's supposed to go to the best player on the field, right? Why doesn't more defensive backs, or besides Charles Woodson, why don't they even look at DBs? Because here's the thing you got to think about: you've got one of the best players on defense covering probably the fastest guy on offense. Running backwards most of the time, having no idea where this guy's going to go. That's his job.
Yep.
How can you not be one of the best players on the field?
Right. Agreed.
Well, and it makes me think when you brought that up, the year Tyrann Mathieu, was in the top 5 Heisman, but honestly, I don't remember who won it that year, but man, you knew when he was on the field, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
He's going to get the
RG3
ball.
won it that year.
Who did?
RG3.
Well,
Yeah, he was a player.
Yeah.
the thing about it too is, and we talked about this before the show, a DB and what they do, I mean, it's amazing. What you're just saying, it's amazing. But it's not sexy. They don't have the ball. They're not, they're not throwing the ball. They're not catching the ball. They're not doing things with the ball. You don't really pay attention until there's an interception or there's something, and that's just the issue there with defensive backs, is because they're not getting that limelight. But I mean, I think about two guys at the U, Ed Reed and Sean Taylor.
Oh, gosh.
Dudes.
Probably, I didn't have an opportunity. I came right after Ed, but obviously we know one of the best players to ever play the game. But I did get a chance to play with Sean Taylor, and he is the best athlete I've ever played with my entire life.
Wow.
I mean, the guy was an absolute freak.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, he's the type of guy that can win a Heisman. You know what I mean? He's the type of guy. But again, he's not getting the ball. He's not. But the things that he did to cause havoc on the other side of the ball,
Right. Changed the game.
I mean, when offenses are having to make their game plan around one guy, that shows you this guy. And so. That's just kind of my thoughts on that with some of these guys, because some of these guys that are playing on that side of the ball, whether it be safety or corner, there are some studs over there.
Oh, absolutely.
And people don't know,
Right.
because that they're just not getting the football. They're not the ones getting all the credit.
And you're right, and I agree with you. When you're talking about they're not sexy like the
Right.
other guys.
Yeah.
Think about this probably. Charles Woodson doesn't do some things on special teams and offense. He probably doesn't win the award.
Exactly.
100%. And that's what I thought about when you said Charles.
Yeah.
But he gets that score, runs back. He gets to pose. Boom. There.
Yeah.
Now he's so. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, but
As we talk about the Thorpe, and you have had the opportunity to be close with the Thorpe family, and the things that you've learned over the years, and getting to be with that offspring of here, like first generation of Jim Thorpe. Tell us some stories about it, because I know that I remember us talking one day and you telling a story about Patrick Peterson when you had an opportunity. So I want people to see this is as we talk about on that committee and council, when you're at that level, everybody can play in D1. Like everybody, if you're on the field playing in Division I football, you are a player.
Yeah.
What this award, where it is set apart, and look, the committee and the list that we put out, there is thorough, not just on your abilities on the field, but also your character.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is such a character award, and that's what I want to kind of drop to or go up to, is the character end of it and what Mr. Thorpe stood for. But I want you to tell some stories that you may have remembered from that.
Well, thanks. A lot of people, we were talking about this before the show, a lot of people, when they think about Jim Thorpe and the fact he passed away in 1953 and he won, Olympic gold in 1912, I mean, that was 111 years ago. And so when people think about Jim Thorpe, they probably, and I'm going back to 2019, they probably don't think about the fact that he would still have kids living.
Right.
Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Naturally. However, he had 3 sons that were still alive when I started with the association in 1999. His 2 remaining sons passed away within months of each other in 2019, Bill and Richard. Now, these guys were in their early 90s and late 80s. They knew their dad.
Right.
They grew up with their dad. They, their dad wasn't folklore to them. So they could tell me stories. So I'd get together with Bill quite often, and I would just say, hey, Mr. Thorpe, tell me something about your dad I don't know. Or tell me something about your dad that most people wouldn't think to ask or know. And he would tell me story after story after story. Well, one year I was with Jack Thorpe, and Jack was Jim Thorpe's youngest son. He was chief of the Sac and Fox Nation, principal chief. And we went to Shawnee, Oklahoma to have lunch with him and bring him up to speed on the award and what was going on. So we're sitting down having lunch with Jack Thorpe, and he's eating, and he stops and he looks at me and he goes, "Mike, tell me about this year's winner." And we had just named this year's winner. It was Patrick Peterson from LSU. He goes, "Tell me about this year's winner." And I go, "Oh, Mr. Thorpe, great player," and I'm telling him about all this stuff on the field. And he goes, and he's eating. And he stops and he looks up at me and he goes, "Okay, Mike, but is he a good person?" I went, "Mr. Thorpe, he's a great young man." He goes, "Good." And he goes back to eating. And I said, "Mr. Thorpe, I probably already know the answer to this, but I got to ask, why did you ask me that question?" He goes, and he puts his fork down. He goes, "Mike," he goes, "from now until forever, that young man will be associated with my family and my dad."
Wow.
And he goes, "We want to make sure they're good men."
Wow.
And
That's huge.
And Chance, as you know, our award is 51% character, 49% play on the field.
Yeah.
And there are guys that there are guys that have had hiccups during the course of a season, and they find themselves off the list, and they're great DBs.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're bad people.
No, that's
but that
right.
character thing is important to the Thorpe family.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Well, like you kind of touched on the word legacy, I mean, you think about Jim Thorpe and what that name means. I mean, you said how long ago it was, I mean, his legacy continues on, and that's such a word that is just, it's amazing to think that you got all these great athletes out there that we see play on Saturdays, but it's not just what we see on Saturdays, like you said. It's the character, it's the piece. What are these guys doing, when the game's over? What are they doing in their off time? Are they going and seeing kids at these schools and helping in certain?
Right.
And you look back at these award winners in the past, and I remember, it's the first time getting to meet you today, but seeing stories about these past winners and the things that they're doing and the impact they're making on kids' lives. And that's what it's about. It's about, I played with a lot of guys in my career, but it's the guys that truly understand that the God-given gift that you're given is for something bigger than you go and score a touchdown, right?
I agree.
It's about, it's about impacting this kid's life who doesn't have a mom or a dad, or he doesn't have, the ability to play the game of football, and or whatever it may be. And when you see these guys off the field take time to really, truly go out and make a difference in their communities, I mean, that's what it's about.
Oh, I agree. And, recently, the NFL Films put together a piece on Jim Thorpe, and it's hosted, narrated by Aeneas Williams. And it's done by NFL Films, and Aeneas Williams talks about Jim Thorpe. I wasn't even aware of it until NFL Films sent it to us, and we have it playing in our Hall of Fame in our museum. Well, it's Aeneas Williams is talking about Jim Thorpe, and then throughout the course of this clip, I think it's maybe 4 to 6 minutes long, they interview Patrick Peterson, Adoree Jackson, and Minka Fitzpatrick. And all three of those guys, sure, they're great football players.
Yeah.
But they talk about what it means to be associated with Jim Thorpe and the Thorpe family. And the neat thing about it, all three of those guys had the opportunity to meet Bill Thorpe and Richard Thorpe, his sons. And so getting back to that character side of things, it's important to the Thorpe family. It's important to us. But, Brock, to your point about making a difference in your community, you're talking about kids that are 19 to 21 years old that are carrying themselves to probably a greater level or a greater degree than they probably 2 or 3 or 4 years prior to that thought they could.
Right.
And, a lot of that starts at home.
Yeah.
So we're blessed. We're fortunate. We have been blessed with some incredible award winners over the years.
Tell us a little bit about how he grew up, like Jim Thorpe and things like that, because I think one of the greatest ways you can honor somebody is to always remember them and know their story a little bit. How he grew up. You told a story pre-show about how he learned to run because you talked to his son, which was like, hey, I knew my dad. This is a real story, and he told me how he became a great athlete and a great competitor. And literally, you know, you talked about a minute ago, or Chance did, about all these modern day players like Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, some of the greatest athletes of all time. But this is a dude that was for real Olympian, incredible athlete, played multiple major sports, you know, before it was ever heard of, you know, before anyone ever did it, you know. And but I would love to hear some of those stories about how he grew up and all that kind of stuff.
Well, getting back to what I was mentioning earlier, when I'd get together with Bill Thorpe and I'd say, Mr. Thorpe, tell me something about your dad I don't know. So and again, he had firsthand stories from his dad.
Right.
So these aren't stories that were passed down and maybe embellished a little bit. Mm-hmm. It'd be like you sitting down talking to your dad. Dad, tell me about whatever. Well, he was telling me a story about, he asked his dad, Dad, the things of, how did you train? You know, because back then, it was 1912.
Right.
There's no training like we have today.
Right.
And his dad grew up in Oklahoma. He was born in Indian Territory. Before Oklahoma became a state, it was Indian Territory. And he was born what is now today near Shawnee, Prague, Oklahoma. And he told his son, Bill, he said, well, Bill, he said, I taught myself how to run by watching horses. And he said, what do you mean? He said, I would run alongside horses and watch them breathe. And I patterned my breathing after a horse because if you really think about it, horses never get tired. And so think about here. Listen, I bet all of us have seen the commercials where guys are on treads and they got the mask on and Jim Thorpe ran alongside horses and just watched them breathe, and that's how he patterned his breathing so he wouldn't get tired. Wow. And so stories like that. And you think about when he got to Carlisle, he was standing on the track and he was Pop. His coach at Carlisle was Pop Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you hear people say, I played Pop Warner ball. That was his coach.
Yeah.
Well, he's watching track practice, and the high jump bar's out. Now, he's in his school clothes, which they had to wear uniforms back then. So Pop Warner and everybody's down at the other end of the track or whatever, and he just says, I'm going to give this a shot. And he clears the bar. And Pop Warner sees it and says, do that again. Okay, and he does it again. Now, this is a guy in his school uniform. So you talk about how good these guys, these modern day athletes are, which they are, not taking anything away from them. But just think if Thorpe had the training, the nutrition, the athletic wear, the shoes, you name it, back then. There's the famous picture of Jim Thorpe with the mismatched shoes.
I was about to say that.
That really happened. But
because someone stole his other ones.
Well, basically the whole United States team. See, here's the crazy thing. Back then in 1912, the United States Olympic team was made up of, it was a melting pot. Mm-hmm. So whereas if you had, a team from another country, whether it's Germany or Russia or, USSR back then, or whatever, they were all the same, if you will.
Right.
But, we had Native Americans, we had all different races and Caucasian, so it was a melting pot. Mm-hmm. Well, someone broke into the locker room and took most of their stuff. And it's a true story, and took most of their stuff. Well, Jim Thorpe was getting ready to compete. He actually said, and Bill told me this, he said, well, can I just run barefoot? That's what he did growing up. He goes, no, you got to wear shoes. So he started going around. He found a shoe in a garbage can, found another one. And if you look at that real close, that picture, it's two different shoes. One foot, I think he doesn't have socks on because the shoe was too tight. The other one's got a bunch of socks because it was too big, so he had to shove socks in. And he still won.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
We're talking about the Olympics.
As Jeff would say, that's a dude.
You didn't know that?
It's unbelievable.
But
it's just
But the other thing
that picture's iconic.
Oh yeah,
I didn't realize the sizes were different though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He had to take the one and stuff socks down
Well,
in
you
the
don't
toes.
get to look in a trash pail and then get the same size, Brock. I mean,
one's an 11, one's a 9.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we have a
5
photo.
to 15.
We have a photo of that Olympic team, and the photo was taken after someone broke into their locker room, and there are guys wearing shirts from other countries, you know, because people were just giving them what they had.
Right.
It's not like there was a Nike bus outside
Right.
that you just walk in and get another pair of sneakers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Golly.
Wow.
But he was an incredible athlete. Played professional baseball, professional football, barnstorming basketball. Won Olympic gold in 1912 in the decathlon and the pentathlon, which is 5 events and 10 events, and won a ballroom dance contest. The guy was amazing,
Wow.
you know.
Which brings me to it. I'm kind of going off subject here, but the thing that I love when you hear that is we talk about these athletes
Yes.
these days.
I know where
and
you're
how,
going.
And how everybody is getting so caught up in, I got to play
Specialized.
baseball, that's it. Or I just got to play football or just basketball. And how the game has changed because of all these travel sports now,
Sure.
because of year-round. Tell us your thoughts, because we've talked about this, and it drives me nuts that these parents that think my kid is, you know, he's a great football player right now. He's 11 years old. He's going to go to the NFL next year in their mind. You know,
Next year.
Or he is. This
By the
kid
way.
is going to the major leagues. Your kid hadn't even hit puberty yet.
Yeah.
We don't even know. He might be 5'6",
Right.
and
Good possibility.
sorry,
Yeah.
you know. But the thing about it is, what I keep preaching to my son and to anybody that wants to listen is, you need to play everything you can play,
Right.
and enjoy the opportunity, because you don't know how long you got it, number one, but enjoy being able to play, because all sports make you a well-rounded person, a well-rounded athlete. You know, people, I say all the time, when colleges come in and they recruit these high school athletes, one of the first questions they're going to ask is, what other sports does he play?
That's exactly right.
Tell me about his character. All these other things outside of, no, he plays football all year long, or he
Right.
plays baseball all year long, whatever it is. But give me your thoughts on that, you know, because you're around a family that, you know, this guy was an absolute legend, and he did everything. So what are your thoughts being with that?
Well, I go back.
Great.
Two quick stories. I go back to high school when I graduated high school in 1979, and when we played sports in high school, you had to play at least two, and the coaches would tell you that. So I played football and ran track.
Yeah.
You know, you had to play two sports.
Right.
And to your point, though, Brock, there wasn't this year-round training. You know, we had 2 days in the spring and stuff like that,
Right.
but it still gave time for other sports. So you had to.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and I believe that kids should be as active as they possibly can be.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons. Probably one of the most important is to build camaraderie and build social skills.
Absolutely.
You know, and after the pandemic, there's going to be a group of kids that lost social skills. They're going to be way behind. But let me tell you a quick story. I had a coach down in Florida. We play Optimus ball. We don't call it Pop Warner or whatever. We play for an Optimus. I played in Hollywood at Driftwood Optimus Club.
yeah.
Well, I played baseball and football for a coach. His name was Ed Grossi, one of the best coaches I've ever had in my life. Grossi was the man. Matter of fact, Chance knows that Willie Martinez, the defensive backs coach, played on the Canes' '84 national championship team.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, Willie and I grew up together at Driftwood. I was just with him Saturday.
Really?
Yeah. And we talk about Grossi because we both played for Grossi. Well,
That's awesome.
here's Grossi.
Chills, bro.
So I'm, I was probably 11 or 12, and it was Pony League, Little League, and then Pony League baseball. So when you would take batting practice, Grossi would, if you were righty, Grossi would make you hit left. And if you were left, he'd make you hit right.
Wow.
And so fast forward later on, I'm back home visiting my folks, and I get a call from Coach Grossi. He goes, "Hey, Mike, come by the field, let's catch up." So I go by the field. I said, "Coach, I didn't have the courage to ask you. Back then your coaches are like 30, but you
Oh,
think
yeah.
they're Methuselah.
Yeah.
you know?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said,
Yeah.
"Coach, I didn't have the courage to ask you, but why did you do that? Why did you make us, back and forth?" He goes, "Mike, listen, I didn't, you never know how far a kid's going to go.
Yeah.
But if I can get you to at least be decent, if you're a good right-handed hitter, and I can get you to be decent hitting lefty, if you're up for a scholarship against this guy, that could be the tiebreaker because you can switch hit."
Wow.
And I say that, I use that analogy because, to your point earlier, if you're being looked at for a potential scholarship, and you played more than one sport, you got to remember some sports work different parts of your body too, and different muscle groups. So that's why a lot of football players do yoga and stuff, because it works a different core.
Yep.
And so I just truly believe that it better prepares you for whatever sport you do want to follow. When that time comes, when it's time you can only focus on one, I think it better prepares you for that. But the most important thing is I think it definitely prepares and helps you enhance your social skills because you're around people. It pushes you. It makes you better. Hey, we've all played sports.
That's right.
It makes you a better person.
Absolutely.
Why would you want to put yourself in one basket?
Nobody wants to think about this either because we all love it, but teaches you how to lose.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, no doubt.
And
Absolutely.
Hey.
It goes to, the big thing that I like to preach to, my son's playing now sports, and I'm have the opportunity to coach and help, is, the losing pieces, whether it's losing a game or losing a play or losing whatever it may be, it's the mindset of move on to the next play. Let's move on to the next play. And so many kids these days get caught up in, they can't do that. Mm-hmm. They're so caught up in, I can't get past what I just did. And what does that do?
hinders you the next play.
The next play.
Yep.
And then the next play. And then what does that do to the team?
The next game.
Right?
Yeah.
It hurts the team, right? And so to your point of the team, right, learning to play different sports with, whether it be, you got 5 guys you're playing basketball with, or you got, however many, at every other sport, it teaches you a lot.
It does.
And that carries on into life, right?
Absolutely.
It carries on into what you're doing now, right? What I'm doing, what y'all are doing. I mean, it teaches you, and those that to me that play a lot of sports and do a lot of different things like that are gonna find success, whether it may be whether you get an opportunity to go play professional sports or not. You're going to be well rounded and a better person for it.
I agree. It'll set you up for life.
Yeah.
It truly will.
We talked about the impact of the award and taking it to modern day now. Mike, you and I were talking last night. How many guys were on the field last week that were Thorpe winners?
Yeah,
in one game.
In one game, there were 4 Thorpe winners.
Wow.
It was Pittsburgh was playing Vegas. So on Pittsburgh's side, you had Minka Fitzpatrick, Desmond King, and Patrick Peterson, and then Trayvon Merrick for the Raiders.
Yeah.
So you had 4 Thorpe Award winners in one game.
Wow,
Dang, that's pretty cool.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's got to be fun, especially for you guys to sit
Oh,
there and have them
And
all
they
right there.
each give back. That's what's so amazing. Like we just last month we had our auction for the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Famer Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, and the things they give back to us, whether it's a game, to go to Vegas to see Trayvon Merrick
Yeah.
play.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they continually give back, and they Mike will tell you this, and in my mind, Mike is so far up here, but he will tell you this: like nothing gets done without Olivia James, his daughter. She puts everything together for all this stuff, and is such a big contributor to everything Oklahoma and the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award. As well as now the Aeneas Williams Award too, and just what it takes to put into that. But she's in constant contact, so they're calling Mike throughout the year. These guys, hey, just wanted to check in with you,
Yeah.
just wanted to get ready for the banquet, and then they line up, getting them there, getting their tuxes, and then all the things. One of the things I would love for you guys to be able to see one day is the banquet's usually the first Tuesday in February, but the things that happen when they come up, it's not just show up, get your
Yeah.
tux, go to a banquet. Like,
Yeah.
tell about all the things that, because there are partners to our award who give back, whether it's jewelry, whether it's clothing, and then the hospitals.
Yeah.
Tell about that day that people don't see and don't understand about our partners. With it.
And we talked earlier about the character of this award and the character of these young men. The banquet's on a Tuesday night. They come in on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
And Sunday night, we just have a social gathering. then Monday things get started. We have one partner that always outfits the winner with hats and boots, cowboy hats and cowboy hat and cowboy boots. Been doing that since 1986 when we started. We have another company that a jewelry store in Oklahoma City that gives them a Rolex.
Wow.
So they get fitted for their Rolex. We have another company that actually makes the Thorpe Award there, and you guys know the Heisman's made in Oklahoma City.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they make the Heisman, the Thorpe, all these major awards right in Midwest
Wow.
City, Oklahoma. Well, anyway, so they get a tour of that and see how their trophy's made.
Same company?
Yeah.
Same company makes both awards?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Midwest City, Oklahoma.
And then we have a luncheon. We have a local artist that paints. He's incredible artist. He paints each winner a year, so he presents them with a painting to the family. But then probably one of the heartstring tuggers of those 3 days is when we go to Jim Thorpe Rehabilitation Hospital. And these young men, again, you're talking about a 20, 21, 22-year-old young man that goes and visits patients that are going through traumatic injuries. And these young men, they're just asked to go share a good word. That's it. It gives me goosebumps every time they get there. And here's the other thing. Not only is it that year's winner, but there's usually 3 to 5 previous
that's
winners
right.
that are with them. They always come back and support
Dating
the new
back
guy.
to Benny Blades.
Antonio Langham?
Antonio Langham, 1992 3 winner.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know?
That's so cool.
But these guys, literally, I'm not exaggerating, they visit every single patient in that hospital, in that rehabilitation hospital.
Wow.
Take pictures, sign autographs, answer questions, do whatever. And you're talking about a kid that could be, listen, it's February in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
You could be anywhere on the planet you want to be.
Right.
And you're in Oklahoma City. These past award winners, Benny is coming back from South Florida.
Yeah.
To be in Oklahoma City in February?
Well, it all goes back to we talked about with the character of these guys.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, and then it culminates into the Tuesday night banquet, which there's 600 plus people. It has become the Thorpe Award banquet and the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame banquet, and I don't say this braggadociously at all, but they have become 2 of the state's largest galas to attend.
Wow.
Because again, you got the Thorpe banquet, you've got the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award winner there, the Aeneas Williams Award winner there, plus, gosh, when we had our 25th anniversary when Morris Claiborne won, we had 13 past award winners there.
Wow.
That's
pretty
so you
cool.
got all these people coming back, and then when you have the Hall of Fame banquet, you're putting guys in the Hall of Fame, like Troy Aikman. I mean, so you got him there. It's pretty special.
Very special.
So let me ask you this, because I've always kind of wondered this. The process of how it all begins from the beginning of the season up until the award is given. There's a lot of people involved, a lot of hard work. Can you kind of walk us through just kind of the process and who all is involved and how that takes place to get down to your final candidate?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of people do ask me that.
Yeah.
They'll say, "Is it a Homer Award?"
Yeah.
How you guys got like a couple guys sitting around with a coffee,
Right.
with Pete's, and you just,
Yeah.
and that's not the case. We have been doing the same thing since 1986 when this award was founded, and to create our preseason watch list, we get the major magazines, Athlon, Street Smiths, Phil Steele's, and they rank every single position and every player in those magazines. Whether you're a first team All-American or second team or third team, and then all conference, how all that goes. Well, what we do is we take every single DB from every Division I school, and we give them a point value based on how many All-American team or All-Conference teams they're on. So if you're first team, you get this, second team, third team. So anyway, so we give them a point value, and then when we put together the preseason watch list, we try to keep it to 30 or 35 people.
Okay.
We don't want to water it down.
Right.
Plus, it's preseason.
Yeah.
But then what we do is we give that list to an attorney who's on our committee, and his team just does an incredible deep dive.
Wow.
For character issues.
Wow.
Like looking at social media, all this
Everything.
Kind of, they're,
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So how many are on that initial preseason watch list? About.
Oh,
usually?
there's 75 to 80, easy.
Okay, so it's a big list.
Yeah, and then we narrow it down, and then we stop at a certain point value, and then that's what we send out. And so then in last week of October, we'll get together. So the committee then starts, we have 35 men and women on this committee,
Okay.
and Chance is on there, and they go to games throughout the year, all different college football games. And the reason they do that is to get to know the character of these young men.
Right.
You know, we watch the games.
Yeah.
But when we meet with these young men, we don't even talk football.
So, not cutting you off, but Chance goes. Maybe you want to take this over. Well, you go and you're at whatever game it is for that weekend, and you're meeting with this player. How does that process work?
Well, you obviously get your credentials, and here's one other beautiful thing about the award too. To my knowledge, and Mike can back me up or discredit this, but we are the only award that gets to be in the press box.
Oh, wow.
So we hold that much weight that
Wow.
like you're in there with scouts, you're in there, and you're getting to talk to them about what they're seeing about that young man too. So typically you've talked to the AD or the SID or even their coaches.
Yeah.
And so after the game, you go down when they're done with all the press stuff, and then you just take that guy to the side and you sit down with him and you get to look them in the eyes and talk, and you really get to see their hunger and passion for the game, but you also get to ask them about, you know, one of the questions that Mike helped me with a long time ago. It's a beautiful question to me is, you know, one of the things you say is everyone can play at this level, and you're an SEC, just take for instance an SEC cornerback, but what sets you apart? What sets you apart? And you're asking that not about whether they can make a tackle against the run or how well they blanket a receiver. You're asking that to know what
this
is your
kid really
passion like? Yeah, what was you know, you may have come from a hardship growing up, but what helped you change your mindset into I'm going to help that next guy that could be me?
Yeah.
And what was that turning point in your life that like, hey, sports is my way out, but there's a greater thing for my heart and how I am. And you know, Mike helped me with that a long time ago, and just your questioning and your thought process and being able to see that person. So that's kind of how it works. And then you take it back and report back to the committee, the council, and then you just kind of start weighing. You know, okay, this guy's great. His stats are great. Like Mike and I have talked about this before. It's not an interception award.
Right.
It's not a pick six award. It's 51% character, as he said, but it is a lot of, you know, we take stats out and it goes, and you learn a lot too talking to their coaches, and they're not gonna tell you, you know, for the most part, yeah, this guy's really a scumbag,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But of course, if they're on our list, we already have a pretty good idea that they're, you
So
know.
the stats kind of get you on the list, but your character's going to win the award.
Absolutely.
At the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
like
that-
we're going into like week 7. So are y'all already kind of narrowing down a little bit for 2023, or what week during the season
Oh, yeah.
do you kind of go, okay, these are our semifinalists, and how many? Like
Yeah.
what is kind of next up
Well,
as far as that goes?
And we'll meet we'll meet at the end of October
Okay.
to create the semifinalist list. And guys can play their way onto the list. So just because you're not on the list,
Give
you can
the
play.
example.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Ross from the University of Texas wasn't even a semifinalist, and he won.
Get out of here.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow,
Hey,
see,
you know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you can play your
cool.
way onto the list, and then right after Thanksgiving is when we'll narrow it down to the 3 finalists. Now, once we do that, so the committee narrows it. The committee does the preseason list, the semifinalist list, and the 3 finalists. Once we narrow it down to the 3 finalists, we're out.
Yeah.
That list goes out electronically to over 300 different sports writers, previous award winners, executive council members across the country.
That's-
so we're out of it
Yeah. I
didn't
at
know
that
that
point.
part.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I didn't know
So
that.
this
So it
way,
comes down to 3.
yeah, we bring it to 3,
Yeah.
and then we're out,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That's
and
really
the country
cool.
votes.
That's awesome. That's
So
pretty neat.
semifinals was about 10 usually.
We 10 to 15.
Okay.
No more than 15.
But you can still play your way on it.
Oh, you can play your way onto the finalists list like Aaron Ross did.
Wow.
And one cool stat there is there's been one coach that's had multiple guys, and it was 3 in a row, if I remember correctly, and it was 2 that came out of Texas, right? Aaron Ross and then
Mike Huff.
Yeah.
and then when he was at Auburn, so Gus Malzahn is that coach. He was the D coordinator at Texas for Ross and Huff.
Yeah.
Then he was at Auburn and had
Carlos Rogers.
Carlos Rogers. Yeah, very
Wow.
good.
And you know, when you talk about when you talk about finding, Chance made a comment. You know, you ask him, you ask the young man, you know, what sets you apart. I got to share this quick story with you because it's about a Shreveport kid.
All right.
We had 2 different brothers at 2 different times on our watch list, and we had the opportunity to meet. One went to LSU and one went to Oklahoma State.
Yep.
The Williams brothers. Had we not met with them and met with their parents, we would have never known that when they were back in high school, they started a backpack program for kids.
Wow.
And what they do, you know,
Calvary Baptist.
they started a backpack program.
Yep.
They did it in high school. And to this day, it's my understanding, because I still keep in touch with their mom and dad, even though they didn't win. They were, you know, Greedy Williams was a finalist, but you know, that's character.
Yeah.
And unless you go to those trips and you
Yeah.
sit
Right.
down with mom
You
and
don't
dad,
know.
you don't know that.
Yeah.
And how many people need to know that? How many other athletes, up and coming athletes, need those examples?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
That's really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it's good stuff.
Well,
It is good.
it goes back to character. You know, you always talk about it with these. You know, what are you doing when
Yeah.
nobody's watching? Right?
Absolutely, and that's when.
And that's how, and like you said, if you're not digging to find, a lot of times you won't know with some of these kids what
You're
they
right.
do. You know, these coaches do because they see it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
The ones that really, you know, there's a lot of people. It's kind of like, you know, I think about my time in college, and you know, the guys. There's guys that aren't in the limelight, you know, that aren't getting the credit. Maybe they're, you know, a defensive back or an offensive lineman or somebody that you don't really know what. But your teammates and your coaches, they see what these guys are doing, you know, and that's character,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what it's all about.
And to your question, Jeff, too, about the list and all that, each week we put out to the council members and everybody involved the Jim Thorpe, or Paycom Jim Thorpe defensive back of the week. So each week there's someone winning that award or winning on that list, and they were the Paycom Jim Thorpe defensive back of the week. So we see that as it's rolling up. Like, I mean, BYU's had a guy on there in the last week, and so you start to see all that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great, man. I didn't know that. I'm glad to know that information. You know.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Because a lot of people, you know, and again, there might be an award out there that puts out their preseason watch list, and there's 75 guys on it, and you know, we can do that very easily,
Yeah.
but we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why we reinforce to the SIDs out there and the coaches and the players. You can play your way onto this list. You
Right.
can play your way into winning this award,
Yeah.
like Aaron Ross did.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it, you know, again, we've talked about character, and we've talked about, you know, being an athlete. And like Chance said, you know, if you're a starting football player in D1 football, you're a dude.
Yep. You belong.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not fact whether you can play or you can't play. It really
Right.
comes down to who are you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's good stuff, man.
Absolutely.
Well, I can tell you who we are here. We're a bunch of handicappers and sports guys that really don't know very much about anything. As far I'm talking about the two bookends here. I don't know about these two guys in the
But we
middle,
got
but
opinions.
and we'll have our big pick coming up, which will be our last one, which is what I like to call the Road Tag PT crap pick of the week. But we're going to get started with the NFL. Well, first we'll start with high school. Big game coming up this weekend,
Game of the week.
Evangel and North DeSoto.
Big game.
You're very close to Luke Delafield, the quarterback at North DeSoto. You've helped him out, I understand, and obviously that coach at North DeSoto you're very close to. as well as the Evangel program. So give us a little bit of insight for that game coming up. Two powerhouses.
Well, and Jeff's going to have some good insight too, having his son playing over there at North Dakota.
Miller.
Give him a little shout out,
Yeah.
Big Miller. Doing a fantastic job playing as a young stud over there. But I look for it to be a great game.
Yeah,
I do.
agree.
I think it's going to be a
It's
great
gonna
game. The good thing is both teams are continuing to play better every week. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I really do. I think that both quarterbacks, Luke and Peyton, both are playing really well right now,
Yep.
and getting more and more confident every week. It'll be interesting. I was texting with Coach Dunn last night, and I was with Denny earlier in the day. Both who I love, and they're both dear to my heart. There's a high level of respect on both sides. They respect one another, and both are phenomenal coaches. But it's gonna to me, it's gonna come down who scores last probably, and who has the least amount of turnovers. I really think that. I think that if whoever can control the ball and not turn it over is going to have a really good chance of winning this game. So I look forward to it. I look forward to it's going to be interesting to see. It's at the E, obviously.
Lowercase e.
Bam, right there. It's there at the E, and so obviously I'm biased.
You don't have to make a pick. You can be Kirk Herbstreit in this where you're calling the games. You can
I can call a game, right? I look forward to being a very good game. Let's just say that. I'll let you guys pick.
I'm going to go the Griffins' way. I'm going North DeSoto. I don't know much about it. I've watched both play this year. I just feel like North DeSoto's been in some close games as well. I mean, I know Evangel has too, but I like the way North DeSoto's built for this. And I think Miller Warren's going to be the deciding factor.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Putting Dad on the hot seat over here.
It's gonna be a war. I mean, like you said, Evangel's been in a couple battles this year.
Yeah.
They went to Neville.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Play in an overtime and literally go for two.
Love it.
Okay.
And got it. The bad call.
If you go
Let's
back
just say
and
it's
look
bad
at the
call.
huddle film.
Horrible call. Terrible call. They got it.
There.
They beat Neville.
I think if there's an instant replay at high school level, they probably overrule that one.
Oh, wow.
They lose by one.
Home cooking.
Mm-hmm.
When you cross Washita River, you're down 14 going
That's
in
right.
there. So,
There you go. Good point.
But both teams, they've got some players. I mean, I think Evangel is probably bigger up front than any other team North Dakota's played this year. They've got some guys. Peyton Fools was going to try to get the ball to Parker. We know that, but they've got other playmakers. They got some weapons, and our boys are gearing up for an absolute slugfest. So they already know it's going to go all four quarters. Part of me, I totally agree with the turnover. It's going to come down to turnovers. It's going to come down to who's got the endurance at the end too. Because when you're getting a track meet like that. It's going to be a high-scoring game, so we'll see, man. I'm pulling for the Griffins, obviously, but I fully expect it to be a battle, so it could go either way.
Well, since y'all are, I got Griffins all around. I'm pulling for the Eagles. How about that?
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah,
So,
as you should.
Yeah.
And normally I would be, but I just,
And you mentioned both coaches, and they both have a lot of respect.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
A lot of titles between the two.
A lot of titles.
Yep.
They both want to win this game of all games. I mean, honestly, it's probably for the district championship.
It
It
is.
is.
It's
There's
gonna
a
be
lot
battle.
on the line. They're in the same district. So we talked about a couple weeks ago, Louisiana, but totally different. Select, non-select, all that. So they'll not play each other in the playoffs. Let me say it like that. So this will be a great game.
Well, this is going to take us to our NFL segment of the show with our Space Cowboy equipment picks that we're going to put forth. So, Chicago Bears, I'm an NFC North guy. Vikings come to town. Bears are a 2.5-point dog. And I have to go with the Bears here at 2.5. I'm going to buy that hook, go up to 3 points there against Minnesota. I like Chicago to beat that spread.
You going with Fields?
Yeah. Fields' numbers actually are better than. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to. It may have been. No, it wasn't. No, not Cousins. It was somebody. His numbers are actually better than a guy that they've hyped up all year that has a winning record.
C.J. Stroud?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, let's keep rolling. Tell me who y'all like.
I'm going Vikings. You're wrong.
Now hold on.
I love that. I love that.
Have you heard the whole Justin Jefferson stuff going on?
Yeah. I'm still
What's your
Vikings.
take on that?
Just
So their number one weapon's out.
yeah.
Well, he believes in the guy that's going to one hop it to his receivers over there, Cousins. So.
One hop.
That's fine.
I'm
Not
taking
your
Cousins
fault.
over Fields all day long.
Okay, but hey, that's fine.
It's in the Windy City.
There's more weapons than
I like
than
our
Jefferson.
running game in Chicago.
Yeah, well, you just keep on liking
Okay.
it. And
Yeah.
have your
Okay.
thick pizza over there. in Chicago.
We'll deep dish this one all the way to the
Yeah.
pay window.
I'm going Vikings too, man.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, you're a bandwagoner. That's
just wants
fine.
to follow
He
me.
does.
No,
Wants to be just
calm
like
down.
QB2.
B3.
You
I'm not
just went
sold
down on the
Fields.
depth chart there, Biggin.
I'm not sold on Fields.
Okay, that's fine. I am. I know what he is.
He's got
Michael
one
D.
win
James.
versus the Broncos, dude. Come on.
Who do you like?
You know, we talked about this earlier. My opinion, I truly believe because they're playing at Soldier Field, it's the
Yeah.
Bears. The Bears will win.
Da Bears.
I don't know what the spread's going to look like. I don't know
Right.
what the outcome's going to be. I just think straight up the Bears.
Well,
will
all I know is if the Bears win, they beat the spread anyway. So it's they're
The
gonna
Bears
come
have
in.
more advantage when that weather switches. In the
That's
weather.
right.
The
It
weather
hasn't
hasn't
switched yet. Yep. That
weather
blustery
switches, I
wind
do
coming
agree
off
with
of Lake,
Minnesota plays
the
at
lake.
home.
Yeah, I agree. But I still like the Bears. I'm with Mike there.
Okay, good.
Next game up is a team that's been it's kind of a surprise, but not really because you could see this trend coming and you could see the change about a year and a half ago. Dan Campbell's Lions, they go to Tampa, and the Bucks are a +3 dog at home against the Lions. The Lions have a lot going for them. I really like the way they're built and everything, but Jeff, like I said, it's a +3 Tampa at home against Detroit. Who do you like?
Detroit. I mean, what Dan Campbell's done in Detroit,
Okay.
not Detroit.
That's right. Now you're learning. You're learning.
Man, I mean, he totally changed the culture, man. They've got a great team. I mean, their mentality's changed. You know, I don't think they're going in going, well, we don't know. They're going in very confident, feeling good. I think Tampa's done well this year so far. This is probably record-wise the best game of the week. They're both teams only have one loss, but going in, I think it's pretty good. I'm going for the Lions. I like the Lions.
Mike?
You know, I'm a big fan of Tampa's defense and playing at home. I love what Campbell's done. If you watched, was it Hard Knocks last year when they featured them?
Yeah.
Man, that guy, I would want to play for that guy.
I know.
Be that as it may, I'm going to stick with Tampa.
Well, the reason that we talked earlier and you convinced me on the +3, so I'm going Tampa too.
Look, I love Dan Campbell. Love him. And the
You know him too, right?
no, I do
Okay.
not.
I
do
thought he
not.
was at Miami
He was
when
not,
you were there.
but he came afterwards.
Okay.
But I fell in love with him when the whole Hard Knocks piece.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you really saw how much he loves his players.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. I mean, the dude has got the thing turned around, and I love seeing Detroit, playing well. But
Having said that,
having said that, they are coming
that as it
down
may.
to that Florida heat,
I agree with
Okay.
that.
and it's still hot. And
Yeah.
I've seen teams come down to Miami
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
from Boston College and different places
Yeah.
like that, and it gets hot
It's a good
and
point.
humid, and that fourth quarter hits, and they are cramping and
Yep.
they're hurting.
Yep.
So I take Tampa all day.
I like that all day long too. Tampa +3. All right, Colts Jags. Colts Jags is the next one. Jags kind of have things rolling the right way. Another coach that I love, Doug Peterson, not because he's a local guy, but because you can see that culture change when he came there. He's a Super Bowl winner in Philly. Jags Colts. The Jags are favored by 4 against Colts. This is a division game, though.
Yeah.
It's in Duval.
Oh, baby.
So that may be where the extra point comes in to make it 4 and not 3. But Brock, who do you like?
I'm going Jags. I like the way they're playing. I think they're playing really well right now. I think Trevor Lawrence is just getting better and better. Him and Doug have really seemed to really gel what they're doing.
They've found a way to really use ETN
Yep.
too,
Yeah,
so that
I
always
agree with
helps.
that.
So
Mike?
I'm going with the London Jaguars.
There you
No,
go.
I like it.
There you
Whoa, whoa, a little shot at Jackson.
The Manchester Jags
There you go.
from Duval County.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Jeff,
I agree, man. I know.
Okay.
we're all on it. Minus
I'm on it,
4.
man.
Ride it on a rock is what that would be. Ride it on a rock.
I just like
Jags
what
minus
Doug,
4.
like he said, what Doug and Trevor, they got it going. That is the coach that Trevor needed. You know, he needed that guy to kind of solidify, and he's rolling, man. And Etienne's a difference maker when he gets the ball in his hands.
Yep.
He's different.
Monday night matchup. This is our game for the NFL here. You have the Chargers and Cowboys. Cowboys are a 2-point favor here. The favorite in that game. It's a Monday night game. It's in Dallas. Is it in Dallas? Or did I have? Okay, I had that switched up then. That's where it's not more points. I feel like Dallas coming off a big loss to San Fran. I feel like Dallas is the better team in this. So that made me take the Cowboys minus 2. Big game in L.A. You normally take the home team in a primetime game, but I have to go Dallas minus 2.
Them boys.
Look, they've. I grew up a Cowboys fan. They've been letting us down here lately, which but I'm still going Cowboys.
No,
I think
I don't
they play
blame
big in big games. I think Dak's going to come back and have a really big game. I think that. I think he's gonna turn it around.
Okay.
I agree, and not so fast.
Oh my
I love it.
No, I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert's.
He's great.
You know,
really good.
when he came out, he and Tua came out at the same time, and I was really hoping Miami would have jumped on him.
Yeah.
But it's all worked out.
Yeah.
But although I truly believe the Cowboys are going to win, I'm really rooting for the Chargers. Just rooting for them, man. I
Well,
love
you're
that
taking
kid.
the Chargers
I like
plus
Herbert.
2
I like him a
then.
lot.
I like that kid.
You like
Yeah.
the Chargers plus 2.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
I think there's some pressure over in Dallas. I feel like they may be feeling a little heat because they've been underwhelming. You know, man, I don't know. I'm pulling for the Chargers. I don't
Okay.
know. I just don't think
Chargers plus 2.
I don't think Dak is as good as they think he is. That's what
I disagree with that, but that's okay. That's okay.
That's just what I think.
All right, let's move it over to college.
Okay.
College. Brought to you by the Dream Hunt Foundation. Stanford's going to be coming into Colorado. Colorado they stumbled a little bit. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. Stanford comes into Colorado, Pac-12 matchup. Colorado is favored 11.5. Mike, you've had a chance to look at this game. What do you think about Stanford coming to Colorado?
I don't think they stand a chance.
Okay.
I wish Travis Hunter was playing.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah. But Colorado's offense is stronger than Stanford's defense.
Agreed.
So
Totally
Colorado.
I think we're all in agreement on that one. Colorado minus 11.5. Take it right on a rock. All right, another big game that day, and I believe this is a night game. Our executive producer, Josh, is it a night game with Oregon going to Washington?
It's actually
A 2:30. That's right. Yeah. Okay. 2:30 game. Oregon's traveling to Washington. Brock. Oregon is a 3-point dog. Who do you like?
I like Oregon.
Really, still.
I still do. Yep.
In my notes here, I actually have Oregon also. I like them to come within the 3.
I just watching that game. first time I got to see them this year was against Colorado, and all the hype and everything that came with into that game, and those guys didn't even bat an eye. They just.
It's also in Washington, though.
That's fine.
No, I mean I love that.
Yeah.
You're standing steady on it. Penix.
Yeah,
I don't think they're ready.
Allowed Washington,
I don't think they're ready either in Washington. Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
Yeah.
But I believe that Oregon's going to come out on top.
Okay, Jeff.
Oregon too. Top
All
10
right.
matchup.
Well,
Oregon's been there.
There's not much antagony in this show at all. As we move over, as we segue, and as my friend Hank Hamilton would say, furthermore, Auburn's coming into Death Valley, night game. LSU's favored 11. 11 points is a lot. But we see the kind of numbers that Jaden Daniels is putting up. Brock, Auburn, LSU.
11 is a lot of points when you're talking that way. But Saturday night, Death Valley, I'm taking LSU.
Mike?
Can I answer this after I cross the Louisiana state line into Texas?
You can do whatever you want to do.
This won't post till later, so you're good.
Yeah, we've got Friday at 5:30 on the drive home is when this will be posted. So,
it's a night game in Death Valley. I believe LSU will win. I'd like to see Auburn win.
yeah.
But I just don't see how they beat. It's the fans. Those fans are going to be rabid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think 11 points is a lot of points.
Yeah.
But, those fans are. I've been to.
They'll make up 10 points on their own.
Oh, my gosh, forget about it. They're nuts.
Yeah.
So, LSU.
Jeff Rowe, I think we know.
I think LSU is going to win the game, but
You don't think
having
they
said
cover?
that, I don't think they're going to cover.
Wow, I like
We don't
that.
have
Hey, and
a
that's good.
defense. And listen, Auburn, you know this, Brock.
Yep.
Both of y'all know.
Hugh Freeze.
Auburn is going to play them tough.
They are.
always
They
do.
are.
They are not going to blink. They're going to come in. They're hungry.
Yep.
I mean, we saw this last week with LSU and Missouri, and bro, until the last 3 minutes, I mean, it was a very tight ball game.
dogfight.
It was a dogfight, and I think Mizzou's a little better than we thought.
No, I don't think so.
Well,
I don't
but
think
I
they're
don't
any
think
better.
LSU's nearly. Yes, Jaden Daniels is playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
He has got the numbers and is rolling, but I don't think LSU's going to cover that. I think LSU will win the game because it is that you said it. It's different in Death Valley, but
Okay,
I think Auburn's going to play them tight.
All right, we're going to skip around here. USC Notre Dame. USC comes into Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored 3 points.
Is this at Notre Dame or?
Yes,
South Bend. Touchdown, Jesus.
he's watching.
I'm taking USC.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think they played well.
Oh, my
last week.
gosh. Okay.
And I think that they got a little something to prove this week. I'm going USC.
I think Notre Dame gets it right. I think Notre Dame 3 points. I like it.
Yeah,
Mike?
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I really believe that Notre Dame has a little more poise than USC.
I think their defense will rattle Caleb Williams, too, as odd as that may sound. Jeff?
Going with the local kid, Tackett Curtis, middle linebacker. Middle
There you go.
linebacker.
Yeah.
I like it. Shout out Tackett.
All right, game of the week. Miami,
I was gonna say, better
North
not be at Chapel
Carolina.
Hill.
North Carolina's undefeated. They're favored 3.5. Miami comes to town off of a gut-wrenching loss. What are we doing, Jeff?
They're going to have it right this week. You can believe that. I'm going Miami, and that's a big deal because I think North Carolina's got a very good team.
Miami Mike, which way you going to go? What you going to do right here?
I mean, is that even a question?
Well,
He's going to show you.
he's scrolling right now.
Boom.
Oh, it's all about you put that to the
that
camera.
there,
Yeah. Zoom that in there, Josh. There's the you.
Yeah. Look.
Oh, my
there's
gosh.
my pick right there.
Oh, there's a big. Well, I'm going North Carolina for the
there we
win. Minus 3.5. I'm going to buy that hook, get it down to 3. We're going to the bank. Road Tag Portable Toilet Services. Crap pick of the week right there. There it is, right on a rock. North Carolina Tar Heels stay undefeated. at home against Miami, and that is the show. Remember, on behalf of myself, Jeff Warren, Brock Berlin, we want to thank Mike James for coming in for the
Thank you guys very
Paycom
much.
Jim Thorpe Award.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Strive for perfection and settle for excellence. Jumping Offsides. Check us out.